Hey remote learners, how are you today? It's me, Mrs. Snook. Welcome to a new semester, whether you are a remote learner that I had previously or you're new to my class. So at this point, if you're listening to this lecture, it means that you joined my Google Classroom and you got the code off Skyward and you're ready to roll for this semester. So make sure that you're paying attention to the stream each day. I'll be posting lessons on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And it will have these lectures. You need to watch the lecture, take your notes, whether you're handwriting them or typing them, and following the directions, getting all your information, completing assignments. And all your assignments are posted under classwork. Make sure you pay attention to that Google assignment calendar because it'll tell you when everything's due that week. You can also find that information out there from classwork or the Google Calendar. This week, there's no Google Meet. But starting next week, kind of once we all settle in more, there'll be a Google Meet each week, and you need to attend Google Meets to get a participation grade. Participation makes up 5% of our overall grade. And at the end of next week will be our first quiz over our World War I unit. It'll be a long unit as we go through Chapter 9 and talk about the events that led to the Great War and the causes of it, the U.S. involvement. We'll be doing a writing assignment where we are writing the thesis paragraph, the introduction, and I haven't decided if we're going to write the first body paragraph of an essay as well yet. I'm kind of still debating. And we'll do kind of a mini propaganda kind of assignment, a mini project almost at the end of this unit. And then we'll be moving into kind of the Great Depression, New Deal. We'll talk about some of the events in the 20s which led to the Great Depression, but we'll kind of skip a lot of the events from the 20s. It's just because of COVID, we can't focus on everything. And then we'll be doing Great Depression, New Deal. So you'll see 2 quizzes this quarter, 2 tests, another project here, another writing assignment with the Great Depression, New Deal unit. So lots going on. So let's get into notes here. So when we're talking about World War I, World War I, the WWI, is known as the Great War. And you might say to yourself, what's great about war? Nothing. Nothing is great about war at all, okay? They say it's great because they're talking about it's huge, it's immense, it's total, it's all-encompassing, it's tragic. And we're talking about great in terms of the amount of people that died in that war. And when you look at some of these images, they will kind of clue you into why so many people died in this war. If you watch the video clip, which I highly suggest you do, which I posted on stream, which is called The Century Seeds of Change, fast forward to the end of the video, watch the last 4 minutes. They show that, people are going off into battle in World War I on horseback, and horses do play a vital role in this war. But warfare changes during this time period, and we start to see more modern warfare with the creation of the first planes and the first tanks and machine guns and battleships. And so it's more of a modern warfare, and we're going to see chemical warfare as well. And with modern warfare comes huge amounts of casualties. And so unfortunately, it is great in terms of the amount of people that died. And this war, people when they go off to battle, they think it's going to be short. It will just be a few weeks or a few months. They have all this pride for their country, which we call nationalism. They're willing to fight to the ends of the earth because they love their country. And they don't realize how long and how tragic it's going to be. And this war is going to be fought, kind of in small areas. Most of the fighting will be happening in Europe, specifically in France. It's a war of limited mobility. And what you're looking at in that top picture is that is a trench. We'll talk more about how early on in the war, people tried to get kind of a defensive position. They try to protect themselves from shelling, from artillery fire, from getting attacked. And so they hide in these trenches, these deep ditches in the ground. And that's one of your pretest questions. The pretest isn't graded. There's no reason to fear it. It's just for your own benefit to try to see how much you already know about this topic as we're starting a new unit. So no worries, it's not going to go in Skyward or anything like that. It's just to kind of see what you already know. So it is kind of a war that's unusual. It isn't like people are lining up and, kind of shooting at each other and, counting so many paces away from each other as they walk, turn away, and fire. We've moved on beyond that. This is much more of a gruesome, battle. And people, unfortunately, as they try to protect themselves, they hide in the ground, they hide in the ditches, the trenches for protection, but they won't give them a whole lot of safety by any means. So when we say it's great, there's nothing great about the war. It's more so that it's devastating. It affects everyone. It kills so many people. This is a war where it's not going to be that it's just affecting soldiers on the battlefield. This will be a total war where people who are supposedly neutral, like the people in the country of Belgium, who are innocent, they will get attacked by the Germans as they come through, and they will rape women, and they will burn buildings, and they'll destroy things and steal food, and they'll say all's fair in love and war. And it's going to be a very difficult time. Now, this week, we're going to be learning more about Chapter 9, Section 1. And I suggest that you read the book on your own time. I suggest you go through and, you kind of really pay attention to that information. That's really your choice. But we're going to be focusing this week really about what's happening in Europe that leads to the war. So there's 4 main causes that lead to World War I. And I'll be asking you about these 4 main causes on the quiz that we'll be taking digitally via classmarker.com at the end of next week. And a little mnemonic device or memory trick to help you remember the 4 main causes of World War I is the M in main stands for militarism, the A stands for alliances, the I stands for imperialism, and the N stands for nationalism. And we're going to be talking a lot more about these causes later this week, but basically the buildup of a country's military prior to World War I and the fact that these countries had certain friendships or allies with others means that others will get dragged into this war, but the war will definitely be a choice. When Archduke Franz Ferdinand is assassinated, they could have chose diplomatic means. They could have found ways to talk the issue out to avoid a conflict, but these countries were eager to fight. They had such boastful pride, such these huge senses of nationalism. They thought they could win, and they're going to choose to actively go to war. And part of the reasons why these countries are so eager to fight was they were trying to make a name for themselves, and they were constantly bickering and fighting over who would be the true world power, who would make the biggest empire in terms of imperialism, which is, remember, when one country takes over another. You should think back. You should have learned that last semester, right? When we talked about how Britain, France, Germany, all these countries have been scrambling, taking over Africa, and even the U.S., even though they didn't really get in on taking over land in Africa, we took over Hawaii. We were interested in Cuba. We were interested in the Philippines and gaining all this land in the name of imperialism. So don't worry if it still seems a little bit hazy right now in terms of these 4 main causes. For now, to kind of just get the memory trick, the 4 main causes down on your notes. And we're going to spend more time this week going into depth. For now, you're going to want to make your Flipgrid introduction video where it's 30 seconds long and you talk about 5 topics. And you're going to want to do your causes of World War I worksheet. And then later this week, I'll be posting an Edpuzzle once everyone has joined Google Classroom so I can sync those 2 together. All right, guys, that's it for now. Have a great day. Later.